Whoa, look at these two. Really, look at these two. I haven't seen a situation more deserving of divorce than this. The humiliation that their spouses must have felt looking at this video. I can only imagine the real pain and harm that this has caused to both families. So it looks like a CEO of a company called Astronomer got caught at a Coldplay concert with his arms around the HR manager. Aside from any potential employment issues that might arise, and which obviously did arise, there are several family law issues that come into play. Let's get into it. So, just a few days ago at Gillette Stadium in Boston, a CEO of a company called Astronomer and the HR manager were caught in 4K on the Jumbotron, canoodling, cuddling, dancing, and just having the best time of their lives. That is, of course, until they got caught on the Jumbotron in front of hundreds and then inevitably millions of people on social media. So, around July 17th, just a few days ago, at a Coldplay concert in Boston, a CEO named Andy Byron and it looks like a HR chief or chief people officer, Kristen Cabot, were caught embracing on the Kiss Cam. The Kiss Cam, for those who don't know, is a camera that points out different couples in a stadium, at a sporting event, or a music festival or a concert. These two were just having the best time of their lives. And as soon as the Kiss Cam spotted them, they immediately looked embarrassed, shame, maybe not from the act itself or the closeness, but maybe just from getting caught. They turned around quickly. Andy ducked, it looks like, into the seating area. I mean, they were in the nosebleed section. I'm not sure if this is a special box seat. I'm not sure who's with them, but apparently none of these people were a part of the company. Maybe they were just friends or family friends or social friends. I'm not sure. I mean, she's literally covering her face. And the Coldplay singer, Chris Martin, said what any reasonable person would think, which is that these two people are an item. They're a couple, maybe husband and wife, maybe girlfriend, boyfriend. As soon as they recognize themselves on camera, they look like they got caught with their hand in the cookie jar. I mean, obviously, so many memes have come out about this. I really wish I knew who the people were next to them, if they knew them, if they knew that they were married to other individuals at the time, or if they were just people who were just there at the concert watching and not wanting to be on the kiss cam either. But this one girl is covering the side of her face. Maybe it's because of what Chris Martin said. And then the guy, he is, he loves it. He's really, he's really hyped up about it. But just the switch up from smiling, head back, relaxed, canoodling, comforting one another, having the best time of their lives, to a split second later where they realize they're on camera and instant shame. And again, I'm not sure if it's shame from knowing that their family is going to see it or getting caught. A little bit about Andy. Andy appears to have been raised in Massachusetts state, around 50 years old, probably worth several millions of dollars. And he's a professional guy who became a successful CEO in several companies. Unfortunately, chose a very public spot to take his mistress or apparent mistress. We're not sure, but one can only speculate and presume. It looks like he lives in a couple of $1 million mansions, one in Maine and one in Massachusetts. Kristen Cabot is said to have had decades of experience in the HR industry in dealing with people, based in Boston and got a degree from Gettysburg College. She also appears to be a millionaire and to be married to Andrew Cabot, another Andy, who is the current CEO, and it looks like maybe the fifth or sixth descendant for Privateer Rum. It looks like they live in a mansion in New Hampshire, which isn't too far from Massachusetts. Now, let's talk about the real world effects. First, I think that it's really sad and embarrassing the spouses had to go through this. Megan Kerrigan Byron removed her last name, or one of her last names, Byron, from her social media and had to deactivate her accounts, which is a hassle and embarrassing and annoying. It looks like she also moved out of the house. And I'm not so sure about the children, but it looks like they're old enough to see this for what other people see it to be. If we're looking at Kristen, I'm not quite sure if the husband has anything to say or if he's put anything out there, but it's still not nice. No one likes to go through this. It's difficult enough living your daily life without having to go through the trauma of being cheated on, and not just being cheated on in private, where very few people could see and have thoughts about the matter, but in public. I mean, even if these people had an open relationship, which is not uncommon these days, it's still not something that they may have discussed with their children. And that could also be traumatic. But really, the way that they reacted to this whole thing, I'm not quite sure if there was an open relationship, and the at least one of the spouses has reacted to the situation on social media. I really am not quite convinced that this is an open relationship situation. Doesn't warrant some sort of ridicule. Nobody's perfect, but I think that they would have had a little bit more decorum. So it looks like astronomer even said that Byron was, or that Andy was placed on leave. And I see that he wrote a type of apology letter or about what happened on camera. And all of the main media sources are ridiculing this response. So it says on Thursday, July 16th, an apology letter, seemingly written by Byron, circulated on the internet. What was supposed to be a night of music and joy turned into a deeply personal mistake playing out on a very public stage. So it looks like he's admitting it. I want to sincerely apologize to my wife, my family, and the team at Astronomer. You deserve better from me as a partner, as a father, and as a leader. Well, I'm not sure why they're clowning this as a fake apology. I mean, he does say, I sincerely apologize. That's more than what a lot of people get in general. So I can at least respect that if this is indeed his sentiment. So looking back on all of this, it looks like Andy did not issue an apology letter. So that's why these articles were saying that it was fake. I'm not really sure if he issued these apology letters himself or if someone did it just for laughs and giggles in the memes. But we don't need to look just at these alleged apology letters. We see that he resigned. We see that the company itself has issued a statement. They have certain standards, and it looks like there were violations of company policy as it related to CEOs and members of management dating their subordinates. The HR or chief of people was a subordinate to the CEO, as is often the case, even if it was consensual, which it appeared to be. Heads back, full mouth of teeth, smiling, carefree. It seemed like it was very consensual. We also have the wife who's removed her social media and removed the last name of Byron. And I'm not quite sure about the other spouse, but there's some rumors that he's no longer listed as married on his social media accounts. I'll take that with a grain of salt until I see a little bit more substance to it. So we already know about the family ramifications. This likely destroyed their family, likely caused a lot of trauma. Will take a lot of therapy and counseling for the children and also the spouses to get back to some sort of self-regulated, less traumatized, less wounded state after looking at this. And, people online are mean, so all of these memes that have been coming out about them probably isn't helping. They're probably going to have to take some sort of tech detox. But what I'm really interested in are the legal issues that affect their pockets, that affect their bank accounts. I know that they live or likely live in different states and then commute into Massachusetts to do their work. But Massachusetts and New Hampshire, if there is a divorce from either party's spouse or even from the parties themselves, alimony is something that might be on the table. If spousal support is actually on the table, then they are going to be looking at everything but the infidelity in most cases. In a lot of states, you can get a divorce without having to allege a specific marital claim or harm. So it used to be several decades ago, not that long ago, but long enough, where you could file a divorce for adultery or fraud, abuse, exploitation. There were different counts, like in any other type of lawsuit, and you would have to prove your case in order to secure the divorce or the dissolution of the marriage. Nowadays, most states have changed the laws so that you can get a divorce if there is what we call an irretrievable breakdown of the marriage. I think, at least online, public opinion is that Andy's wife is probably of the mind to at least separate herself from him, if not divorce him altogether. So if she can't file a lawsuit against Andy for infidelity, what else can she do? I'm not her attorney, but in many states, like in Massachusetts, if a spouse does something to waste or destroy or render worthless some marital asset, like a joint account, the other spouse can come in and file a claim against the wasteful spouse. So, for instance, if Andy was spending marital property, cash, using the marital cards, like a credit card or a debit card linked to a bank account, and he's buying Kristen all of these fancy items that are worth thousands of dollars, or taking her to a Coldplay concert, which I'm not sure how much Coldplay concerts are now. I'm going to take a look here. So, just looking at Google, it says that Coldplay tickets are going for anywhere from $100 all the way up to $500 plus. And I'm looking at this other ticket vendor. It says it's something like $1,000. So if he's spending thousands of dollars, or if Kristen is spending thousands of dollars or wasting the marital assets on Andy, for instance, if she bought the Coldplay concerts and they were worth several $1,000s, I'm not sure if that's the case here because it looks like they were in the nosebleed section. But if they were spending this money for their unfaithful ends to cheat on their individual spouses, then the spouses who are not cheating, so far as we know, would probably have claims for dissipation. And that would mean that the cheating spouses would have to come in and reimburse or pay back or in some way compensate for wasting the marital estate or marital property on non-marital purposes for their side chick or side dude. Other than that, I don't think that Andy would have a lawsuit against Coldplay for saying what the vast majority of people were already thinking as soon as they saw Andy and Kristen looking so scared and ashamed at the Jumbotron. A lot of people have come online and said that they just should have acted normal and not drawn attention to themselves. But if what they were doing was wrong, then most human beings have that instinct to look ashamed or to hide from the light or the camera. In either case, I feel bad for the other spouses and the kids because they shouldn't have had to have been put through that kind of trauma by their parents or spouse. In either case, the memes are funny. And if you like these legal stories in your pockets, like and subscribe.